My name is Daniel. I'm 34 years old, and until recently, I thought I had a happy, stable marriage. I met my wife, Julia, 8 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. She was charming, intelligent, driven, everything I ever wanted in a partner. We dated for about a year before getting engaged, and married just over 6 years ago. Julia worked in marketing. She was always ambitious, always climbing the corporate ladder. I admired that about her. She got promoted faster than most people her age, and eventually became the regional manager for a large retail chain. Her boss, Mark, was a senior executive, charismatic, well-dressed, the kind of guy who lights up a room when he walks in. I'd heard about him through Julia's stories, but nothing ever raised red flags. Over the years, Julia started working longer hours. I saw her at a new agency and became, well, I put it that way because she started working longer hours. She'd leave early, come home late, and sometimes travel for what she called urgent off-site meetings. I trusted her. I never once questioned her loyalty. Maybe that was my mistake. About 6 months ago, things started to change. She became distant, physically and emotionally. No more spontaneous kisses, no more random texts during the day saying she missed me. We barely had sex, and when we did, it felt mechanical. I chalked it up to stress. I thought, maybe she's burned out. Maybe she just needs support. So, I tried. I cooked more often, planned weekend getaways, bought her little gifts. But nothing worked. Then, one night she came home late, again, 1:30 in the morning. I was half asleep when she walked in. She smelled like alcohol and cheap cologne. And she was wearing heels she hadn't worn in months. I asked her if everything was okay. She said yes, that she'd been at a company dinner and that her phone had died. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something didn't sit right. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing little things. She would always keep her phone face down. She changed her passcode. She suddenly started wearing lingerie to bed, not for me, but seemingly just to feel sexy on her own. She'd hum songs I'd never heard and seemed emotionally absent even when we were in the same room. That's when I decided to dig. I know how it sounds. Spying on your spouse. But my gut was screaming that something was wrong, so one morning while she was in the shower, I checked her laptop. She had forgotten to log out of her email. There were dozens of messages between her and her boss, Mark. Some were just flirtatious, others were explicit. Naked pictures, hotel bookings, messages like, "I can't stop thinking about last night," and "You make me feel alive again." My world shattered. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. My wife, the woman I'd devoted my life to, was having an affair. And not just any affair, it was with her boss, someone who had power over her career, someone she'd lied to me about for months. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to be sure. So I followed her one evening when she said she was going to a team dinner. She drove across town and checked into a hotel. I waited in my car for over an hour. Then Mark arrived. I snapped pictures. Proof. I confronted her the next day. She denied it, of course, said I was being paranoid. Until I showed her the emails, the photos, the messages. Then the denial turned into tears. Apologies. Excuses. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical. I felt neglected. I couldn't even listen. I packed a bag and left. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, I got a call from her sister. Julia was in the hospital. I rushed over, thinking something terrible had happened, a car accident or something life-threatening. It turned out she had collapsed at work from abdominal pain. After a series of tests, they diagnosed her with pelvic inflammatory disease, a complication from an untreated sexually transmitted infection. Gonorrhea. The doctor said the infection had been there for a while, and if untreated any longer, it could have affected her fertility or even caused sepsis. Julia was devastated. Not just physically, but emotionally. She told me later that Mark had lied to her, told her he was clean. Turns out, he had been sleeping with multiple women in the office. She wasn't even the only one. It was the final twist of the knife. She threw away our marriage for someone who saw her as disposable. I didn't go back. I couldn't. The trust was broken beyond repair. We finalized the divorce 3 months later. She tried to ask for another chance, said she'd go to therapy, swore she still loved me. But I couldn't unsee the betrayal. I couldn't unfeel the shame, the anger, the humiliation. I've started rebuilding my life. I moved to a new apartment. I joined a gym, picked up an old photography hobby, and started going to therapy. There are still days when it hits me, the memories, the what-ifs. But there's also a strange sense of peace now. I know the truth, and I'm free from the lies. As for Julia, I heard she left her job a few months after everything went public. Mark was fired after several complaints surfaced from other women. Last I heard, she was living with her parents and trying to start over. Funny how karma works.